Okay, I'm on. Hello. Just waiting for my mod to come on. Sorry, I'm gonna start reading a story. I'm just waiting a little bit. I always get nervous when I go live because I'm like talking to people in real time, so it's a little scary. But today I'm just reading a story, so I'm not gonna be really focused on super a lot. Hello. I'm waiting for my mod. I don't know if they're on yet. They like yell out the door because my mod is my roommate. Are you on? Oh, boo. Oh, okay, cool. Hello, everyone. Today we're gonna read a story. We're gonna read my favorite creepypasta. My day's been pretty good, pretty boring. I got a Happy Meal and I got a Bowser toy. Here, hold on. It's like a figure, but then he can also be a keychain. But I like it as a figure. So my day's been okay. You know, got a Happy Meal. I'm in cosplay. I'm cosplaying as Hooney Lee from Sewer Slide Boy. I don't think I can say that on stream. So there's a good amount of people here, so we're gonna start. I'm gonna start reading my favorite creepypasta, which is The Hidden Webpage by Jared Roberts. It's good. It's a good creepypasta. So everyone get ready with me to read creepypasta. All right. Sometimes I find it hard to believe that I've been an internet user for 20 years now. That's older than some of my coworkers. It's over half my life. That's a long time. And still all the internet feels like the new thing. I used to take it for granted like we all do, but at least I remember what it was like when it wasn't there. When you had to leaf through an encyclopedia set to find an answer, when you can only find Gillian Anderson's pictures in magazines, or later when songs took 30 minutes to download and full-length movies were almost impossible to find because no one's hard drive could hold them. It's like LimeWire. First getting online was super exciting. I mean, the first time I did it without supervision, because I knew I had anything at my fingertips. I could type it into good old Lycos, one of the many pre-Google search engines, and there it would be. I was interested in naked celebrities and the paranormal back then. I was only 13. Give me a break. Sounds like a ex-user. Uh, I was so interested in the paranormal, I built a Fortune City free homepage all about the occult and the X-Files. Forgive me if I pronounce some of these things wrong. But I'm kind of baby, so like I wasn't on like freaking like Angel Fire or anything like that, you know. Um, I built a Fortune City free homepage all about the occult and X-Files. I linked it to the Darknet web ring, and there were where all the best dark websites and homepages came together. Pages on spellbooks, goth babes, the occult, dark arts, and gross out page or two. So like rotten.com, but like older. It was through the web ring that I met Angelica. Angelica hosted a Wiccan GeoCities or tripod homepage that I found particularly alluring. No, wait, it was Angel Fire. She just made the best of some cool animated GIFs, MIDIs, and frames. Amazing stuff at the time. Just like her, the page was creative and attractive, but also simple. The reason I bring all this up is she suddenly contacted me almost a few weeks ago by email asking, "What's been happening?" A catch-up question. We had almost 20 years of catching up to do. And this is Peer Angelica. She signed the email with her ICQ contact hashtag. I enjoyed the quaint touch. Or number. Sorry, wow. Showing my little baby age. I enjoyed the quaint touch. It'd be like someone in the 90s sending a letter with a wax seal, right? I replied back with a summary of how my life had gone over the past 18 years or so since I'd last communicated with her. 18 years makes you think. She shot back a response almost immediately asking for details. We exchanged a few emails this way. I was pretty excited to come home from work and write to her, actually. Nothing romantic. It was reconnecting with my past. It's a strange but addictive feeling. Soon I started to notice something was just a little off. She never really answered anything about herself. She ignored my suggestions and we text or talk on the phone. All she wanted to know more about me. It got me wondering, like maybe she's dying and she doesn't want to say. So I asked her. I asked her why she wasn't sharing, and there was something I should know. I started reading over her previous messages for clues, and I noticed something that didn't occur to me until then. Her email address was at globetrotter.net. That may not mean anything to you, but it struck me as strange. You see, Globetrotter was a Canadian ISP way back in the mid-90s, and I didn't even realize they still hosted. I know a lot of people still have their old email addresses for sentimental value and all, but it's like she was purposely trying to be old school. Something about it creeped me out, like she was trying too hard to make me feel nostalgic or something. Again, I didn't have to wait long for her to reply. Oh, she didn't answer my questions. She asked me, hey, do you remember the hole? I don't know why then, but the moment I read that sentence, I felt uneasy, like I was being watched. I had a hazy sense that I dreamed about something called the hole once. Whatever it was, I was instinctively repulsed by it. I couldn't remember anything solid, though. In my head, I went over the IRC rooms, websites, news groups, web rings, all the old internet stuff, and came up empty. She sent me another email before I could even reply. You really don't remember? The hole was our little secret. Not many knew about it. Even fewer knew how to find it, but we found it. It was right there all along sometimes. Then you'd load Darknet and Netscape, and there'd be a tiny black dot at the bottom, in the left corner, in all this blank space. You had to hover over exactly and click it, and then you'd be there. You'd be in the hole. You remember it now, don't you? She was right. I did. I just didn't remember ever calling it the hole. What I remembered was a little space that we had found. I remember it like the browser didn't see it as a real website or something. There wasn't even an address to copy and paste from the bar. It was just the letter M. I tried everything to pin down an IP, but M was all I could ever find. Another thing I remember is that I never liked that place. Not at all. There was nothing there. It was all empty. I remember being excited for the first time we ever found it because it was something hidden and it felt like somewhere we shouldn't be. Then I hated it because it was just empty. And it made me feel bad and empty, not boredom. Like it wasn't supposed to be there anywhere. Wasn't part of anything. I wrote Angelica back telling her I wasn't interested in talking about that. I didn't hear back from her that night. That was unusual. She normally replied right away, eerily fast. I realized while mulling it over. It was like she had already had her answer typed out, and it didn't matter what I actually said to her. Now that I was waiting for a response, because this whole thing had me inexplicably shaken up, of course she didn't reply. This is like pre-AI, so this is interesting. The next day when I got home from work, an email was waiting. She said, we were missing so much. The hole has so much more for us to discover, so many secrets. You could just keep going and going. It's like an endless puzzle. Everyone else stopped at the first layer. You remember that, right? I just knew there had to be something else in it. I knew no one would create and hide it for no reason. I kept going back to it, looking closely until I discovered how to go deeper. And I kept going. It's there, you know. It's not too late. The web ring is gone. Netscape is gone, but the hole is still there for you. I felt a strange chill down my spine that I brushed off as nerves. I was up for a promotion and it's a little stressed after all. Then I started to wonder if she was pranking me. Angelica wasn't really a humorous girl. She laughed at your jokes, but she didn't really make her own. In fact, something about her earnestness was really disturbing. I didn't reply to her right then. I decided to run some checks on her because things just weren't adding up. I started with her email address to see if she'd been posting anywhere. I was searching for a while before I hit something. I didn't find any forum posts or websites or anything like that. What I found was her email host, Globetrotter, had stopped hosting. 11 years ago! The email address she was writing from was impossible. Now I knew something was wrong with her, if it really was even Angelica. I mean, why would she go through so much trouble to create a fake email address that mirrored whatever email address she would have been using in the 90s? That wasn't just quaint anymore. Also, we hadn't talked in 18 years. Why did she suddenly want to reach out to me? And why did she want to talk about some long-forgotten website? Because I felt like that's what she was building up to all along. The more I thought about it, the more weird it seemed. I should have just ignored her and went on with my life. But I wanted to know what was going on. I kept digging around. I used her ICQ number, her name, the state I believe she lived in. I could find no record of her doing anything after her Angel Fire homepage. No Facebook, no Google+, not presence on the internet was actually in the 90s. Like, she disappeared completely, waited in hiding for almost 20 years, then reappeared just to talk to me about some old website. The whole thing was so bizarre, I started having trouble sleeping. I was having nightmares and staring into a monitor, not able to move. I have nightmares and stare into a monitor. Very, very awesome. There were computers all around, and I was concerned about the beehive in the corner. After that, I went a week without sending her an email or her sending me one. I felt guilty about it, but I had every night. I just knew I'd regret it if I sent her another email, and it seemed like she took the hint at first. Until a new email came, this one was short and to the point. I read, "I think I'm coming to the center. You could spend your whole life in here." I remember those words exactly. Oh yes, because whatever the hell they meant, the way she said them, so real and urgent, was really upsetting. I didn't dare answer her. Another week went by without a strange email. This one was a different kind of email. This one didn't even have an email address. That was spooky enough in itself. It gets worse. The text reads, "Don't trust emails, not from good place. Delete and forget." It wasn't signed. I figured it had to be Angelica. It just wasn't her style. Not long after, I received another email from Angelica with instructions of where to go looking for the hole, a place on archive.org, not to be confused with Archive of Her Own, on the Wayback Machine. Still had the dot to click on. That was the only way in, she said. It had to be the dot. I thought about going to check it. I would have, except I was afraid of it. I couldn't remember what happened to me with that site, but I knew there was something bad about it. I mean, my thing, you could potentially so far attribute this to something that's not supernatural, which is interesting because you know, a lot of people get like traumatized by things that they see on the internet. You know, you could have just forgot, like maybe he saw like some sort of like beheading, I don't know. And another email came from the blank email address. In the body, just the link to a Gopher site. Now, I hadn't seen a Gopher site in a good 15 years. I had to download an old browser just to access it. If you weren't on the internet back then, Gopher sites just housed a bunch of text files and folders usually. You'd go to gopher://blah blah.com. They were usually run by universities. This particular Gopher site only had a few files, all audio files. I listened to them all. They all had different file names, but they were all the same. The muffled sound of a boy's voice saying, "Help me, please," over and over. I was shaking. I got the police involved this time. They thought I was being pranked. I asked them if they could at least look into Angelica. I told them all I knew about her. The only thing I didn't tell them is who I thought the voice was. I know it's crazy, the reason I didn't tell them, but I'm pretty sure that was my voice when I was a boy. I stopped receiving emails from Angelica and the blank address after that. I hoped it was over. I think a month passed before anything else happened. I got a promotion. Things were feeling normal. I told myself some secrets I best left secret. Well, I got a large manila envelope in the mail. That either means you've been accepted into a college or you're about to go on a mystery. No return address. Mystery. I went against my gut and opened it. Inside was a printout of all my correspondence with Angelica. All of it. Not just the new stuff. Emails I'd written back to her in the 90s. I took this stack of papers to the police. This was evidence. They told me they still thought it was a sick prank. That struck me as odd. I asked them, but why sick? That's why they told me they had actually heard back from the local PD where Angelica had lived. She'd been a missing person since 1999. Police should not. Oh, it's just a prank. Let's just not take this seriously. Her parents offered a reward and everything, and they never found her. No clues. One night she was in her room listening to music on the computer. In the morning, she was gone without a trace. I was so shocked I had to sit down. Maybe it was a prank? But then, what if it was her? Wouldn't her family want to know? Maybe she'd had a psychotic break or something. What's this stuff about the hole? And what about the blank email address? I didn't have a clue. The police were no help with these questions, and I pulled back in. I decided to go looking for any contacts I can remember from the time when I was speaking to Angelica. Anyone who would have known both me and her. We had a few mutual contacts, mostly from the web ring, but also people who introduced to each other. Not just many I remembered by their real names. Actually, none. There was one guy. He went by the name Escalating. He was an odd guy into hacking and anarchy, the good, clean internet taboos we had back then. He'd been on the net forever, since the days of the bulletin board systems. That guy, if he was still around, he'd probably still be going by the same username. So I got to searching. Not only could I not find any trace of Rapscallion42, I couldn't find any Rapscallion at all. He was all over the web that day. All over the web in the day. So that in itself was weird, like someone scrubbed any trace of him. That's when I got the idea to dig into my old computer. It was an old 1997 HP running Windows 98. I had it stashed in the basement since I went to college. It would at least have all my old contacts stored up just where I left them, even if it would even load. I had to wait 5 minutes for it to boot up. Then I got my Ethernet cable plugged in. It was like I'd been in sleep mode for 2 decades, and there they were, my desktop icons for IRC, ICQ, Netscape, and even Napster. Napster! I learned there was more to music than the radio from Napster. Some good memories. It was like Napster and LimeWire, and then in my day it was YouTube to MP3. But now everyone just has Spotify. Honestly, I wasn't sure ICQ would load. I believe ICQ still exists in some form, but I just doubted their servers would still accommodate the old software. One of the old key features of ICQ that made it so ahead of its time was that, besides being the only instant messenger, it also allowed offline messaging. I mention that because not only did ICQ load, but it loaded with the message. That perturbed me a little because it's like it was just waiting for me, knowing I'd boot it up, except for one detail. The message was dated from November 1999. It was from Angelica, so it had to have been right before she disappeared. It just said, "You coming?" It sent a shiver down my spine. Where was she going? Could I have helped her if I'd seen it in time? Why'd she act like I knew? Even weirder is that I'm sure I'd been on ICQ in November 1999. I'd say I'd used it up to 2001 or so. That's when I went to college. It's like the message got trapped in the server all that time, and I was only getting it now. I closed the message and I looked for Rapscallion42. I was hoping to find an email address on his ICQ info. I really didn't expect to see a green online icon beside his name, but that's what I got. That only added to how unsettled I was. I almost had to check to make sure it was really 2017. Anyway, I fired off a message to Rap saying, "Hey man, long time no speak." I didn't want to start off with business after all that time. I was relieved when he replied back with a friendly hello and asked me how I was doing. After exchanging pleasantries and catching up a little, I had to ask him why he was still using ICQ after all this time. He says it's because of Y2K. Y2K really happened, he said. It just didn't happen the way everyone expected. It was way more insidious. We all thought the computers would just stop working because they couldn't handle the millennium change, but it wasn't that they stopped working. Something happened inside the connection of things. Something bad. The old equipment would be fine as long as it didn't get patched, but everything made after December 31st, 1999 would be tainted. That's why he still used ICQ and never let go of his zero dial-up connection. I hadn't heard a Y2K conspiracy in a long time. Yeah, I feel like whenever I hear Y2K now, it's about fashion. So that was interesting. I chose to ignore it and asked him if he knew about Angelica going missing back in 99. He said he didn't. He figured he just dropped off the internet, but he said it's no coincidence that she went missing right at Y2K. A lot of strange things happened then. The world changed. Only a few people even noticed. Rap was only a little on the fringe, but what he was saying was strangely upsetting. Maybe it was just hitting too close to home. If that last message really was sent before November 1999, then he was right. She disappeared right before Y2K. Let's see. Given the news, I went ahead and told Rap everything that had happened. He believed me. That was a nice change in a way. It also made me feel a little more real. I was shaking while typing. He told me that my story reminded him of something he'd heard from another old friend just recently. There was this guy, R0XT4R, or to his closer friends, just Reggie, who used to frequent an internet forum on hacking and freaking with a PH. Back in the mid-90s, this guy had a lot of friends on there, was well-spoken and clever enough to earn real respect. Over time, as often happens, he just drifted away from the forum. His posts became less frequent as other aspects of life preoccupied him, and as soon as he was gone, the forum strove for anonymity for obvious reasons, so no one kept in contact with him. Thank you for the appreciation for the background. A lot of this is just like things that I've like printed out. So not just Yowie unsubscribe. Anyway, the guy had a lot of friends there, was well-spoken and clever enough to earn real respect. Over time, as often happens, he just drifted away from the forum. His posts became less frequent as other aspects of life preoccupied him, and soon enough he was gone. The forum strove for anonymity for obvious reasons, so no one kept in contact with him. The forum's still there, Rap said, nowhere near what it used to be, but the regulars like him are dedicated. A few months ago, after 20 years' absence, Reggie suddenly showed up on the forum again. His posts were polite, conversational, but just off somehow, like someone feigning familiarity. He was trying so hard. It was weird, but they were happy he was alive and well, so they replied to him and brought him up to date. Then, without acknowledging anything they said, he started making post after post about how his life was revolutionized. He found a whole new frontier of hacking. The hacking begins inside you, biohacking, he said, and he wanted to show it to him. You guys know about that millionaire who he uses his son's blood to try to be like super young or whatever? There was like an American Dad episode that parodied that. I really like American Dad. It's like, I don't know, maybe like a guilty pleasure, I guess. Shout out dadders. The forum folk were flabbergasted by his odd behavior, so they started interrogating him. He went silent for about a week. Then he sent the last message saying, "I love you guys so much," with a tiny URL link. Rap's friend thought it was a joke and that Reggie was just leading the whole forum up to an epic rickroll. He didn't click it because he didn't need to hear any Astley and he was busy with something else. Plus, you just don't click a tiny URL link that you don't trust. The only time I've ever sent tiny URL links to somebody is when we were doing like a school project in the computer labs, and all my friends were sitting around, and I would send a tiny URL link to like a meme or something, so they wouldn't be able to like see what it was going to be. So it'd be like a tiny URL, and it's just like a picture of I'm Goth Goblin on those hot dogs. He came back to the forum later and decided he was going to go ahead and click the link. Anyway, it may be something legit. On a whim, he refreshed first to see if anyone replied, it saying the link was. He sees a post in reply from a very trusted and respected member of a forum saying in all caps, "Do not click that link, whatever you do, that is not Reggie." For an old pro to use all caps, that was serious shit. Even I knew that. So that was enough to dissuade everyone from clicking. The fake Reggie deleted his account immediately. The forum moderator and others tried to figure out who this guy was, but no luck. The guy who made the all caps post explained that after he tried to safe browse the link with an old Linux box and whatever was in there wrecked it, and that that box had security out the wazoo. He couldn't explain it. Also, before the computer wiped out completely, he said he thought he saw something. The regulars pressed him to say what it was. He made them promise first that it stays with them. He said that he saw a picture of his daughter on the screen. She died 5 years ago. Worse, he'd never seen that picture before. That, more than anything, convinced him to post the warning in all caps. Whatever he said, it's evil. Rap added, "If you've been on the internet long enough to learn that, there's evil out there. Not the CP or torture videos, something deeper, something hidden in all the code and connections. Maybe it came from us at one point." He was giving me the creeps, so I tried to bring the subject back to Angelica. He said, "No, listen, sometimes it tries to get out." That was enough. I told him he was freaking me out with that kind of talk, and I had enough to deal with. He said he didn't understand what I was talking about. He still reads my homepage after all this time, and I've been doing great work exposing the evil. Thing is, I don't even have a homepage anymore. That thing was taken down in like 2001. He insisted it was my Fortune City homepage. He'd been reading my updates all these years, even after we lost contact, he said. I sent him a link to prove to him that Fortune City doesn't even exist anymore. Rap went quiet a few minutes. Then he said he was looking at the homepage at the moment. It was just last updated a few days ago, and it was all about that, and it was all about what they were talking about now and what was going to happen. It's a doozy, he said. Then he immediately went offline. I sent him a message with my contact info to let me know if he was okay. I haven't heard from him since. I've checked ICQ a few times and he's never been back online. I had to walk away from that computer. I felt like I was being watched or something. Every noise was freaking me out. After a sandwich and some tea, good lunch, I went back just to shut down. That's when I noticed a folder on the desktop that stood out. For one, I never really kept folders on my desktop, and two, I didn't remember this folder at all. It was called Noah's Cape, which sounds like a crappy Bible game. I never played crappy Bible games. Have you guys ever played crappy Bible games? Wait. Why is chat talking about Foids? Awesome. Love you guys. Incels forever. Anyway. And two, I didn't remember this folder at all. It was called Noah's Cape, which sounds like a crappy Bible game. I never played crappy Bible games. Something about it didn't seem right. I opened it. Inside was all pictures and WAV files. My instincts told me to get out of there. One picture was just kids, teens, boys, and girls sitting at their computers. None of them seemed aware they were being photographed. The pics were pointless. All I knew for sure is I didn't take or download these pictures, ever. They were all time-stamped 11/21/1999. The WAV files were the sounds of typing, muttering, and chairs moving, the sounds of people at a computer, the sounds of surveillance, until one of the files. It was a voice I'd never heard before. I know it, because I don't think of anything could have made me forget that voice. It was a hollow, metallic voice, almost inhuman, but a man. It whispered with a hiss, "You coming?" And its whispers were like flesh sizzling on iron. Nothing of this earth should talk like that. What it said, it was the same as Angelica's message, also from 99. I shut down the computer and left the house. I, I was watching House MD earlier. I'm really into House MD, so I'm like, oh, you left the house. Yeah, I probably will try to upload the footage. I didn't even want to be in my own home. I just drove around for a while thinking, whatever was going on, it was really not good. Yet I couldn't let it go. I felt drawn into something secret and I wanted to figure it out. For Angelica's sake too, if she was really a victim. I decided to contact my buddy Ben. He's a real computer wizard, works IT at the University of Guelph? The University of Guelph? 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 I speak incel like really, really fluently, by the way. I don't know if I'll talk about it on my channel. When I'll talk about it on my channel, I don't know, maybe if this is like an entire reason I kind of started, but I actually dated an incel. Or somebody who identified as an incel, even though he wasn't technically an incel because we were like together, but he was very I used to be black-pilled. And I used to be on 4chan, so I guess speak incel, so to say. Yeah. Yep. MGTOW and going their own way. I know all about that. Yeah. The next day, he already comes back to me with the question, is this even some sort of joke? I don't like wasting my time. I never seen Ben even slightly irritated before, but he was mad. He told me when he traced the Gopher site, it turned out it was being hosted right there at the University of Guelph. They didn't have a Gopher site, he said. Never have. By the way, this is a cosplay. I'm not actually in. Well, I do have an injury under here from my cat, but it's not bad enough for any of this. I'm dressed as Hooney Lee because my name is Lee. So hi. I assured him if it was a joke, I wasn't in on it, so he said he'd try to find the server tower I was running on. If he could do that, he could read the logs, find out who set up the damn thing. While I was waiting for Ben to get back to me, I got a call from Detective Thoreau. These police hadn't shown much interest in my case, but happened to land in front of this guy. Thankfully, he said the simple fact that Angelica had disappeared meant that there was the possibility that a crime had taken place. I agreed. Because of that, he had done a little more work, and he felt I should know. He found Angelica. When he told me she was alive and well, I was thrilled. He said she voluntarily ran away from home and chose not to have contact with her family. She declined to say why, and he had no right to compel her otherwise. Legally, he was bound to protect her privacy. The point is, there was no crime. That happened to me. However, when he told her how it came about that he went looking for her, she asked him if she could speak to me. He said he took the liberty of accepting for me and passed on the phone number. I thanked him heartily. It was the first bit of good news, the first real break in this mess. As soon as I hung up with the detective, I called her. I was nervous. It'd been so long, and I was excited to hear from her again. She answered quickly and asked if it was me. I told her yes and said it was nice to hear her voice after all this time. Then she said without any pleasantries, it wasn't me sending you messages. I told her I'd figured that much out already. I don't think you would understand. I never once had in my life sent you any sort of communication. I don't know you at all. A part of me was screaming. She's lying. She just sounded so certain. It almost felt like drowning because she wasn't lying. A whole chunk of my youth was a lie. I told her all I knew about her personal things and she said they were true. I told her how I found her through her Wiccan homepage on Angelfire and I described the page to her and the web ring and she said she didn't make that thing and I should never have gone there. It's bad, she said and wouldn't elaborate. What do you mean? I asked. Then I told her all the details I knew of her personal life and her likes and hopes and dreams in her family. She said it was all true, but whoever told him about it, it wasn't her. That's why she wanted to talk to me now, so I would know the truth. She remembered how it used to happen every now and then a long time ago. She would have people tell her they talked online all night, but she knew she never had spoken to them, and they'd tell her she was doing things she knew she'd never done. She was asleep or sometimes not even in town. Then they'd get weird or disappear. She remembered this one time she was doing her math homework and a random guy messaged her with the solution to the problem. She was terrified, but she asked him how he knew her math problem and was he spying on her? And he told her no, she asked him for her help. She didn't believe him, so he sent her a screenshot. The message was from a day ago. She'd just gotten her homework that day. She said it was the worst when she messaged a close friend of hers she saw online on ICQ. Her friend replied with, I keep wanting to say ICP. Her friend replied with, "Who is this?" She thought it was a joke, so she said something silly. She didn't remember what. Her friend said she didn't think it was cool to be hacking Angelica's account, or if this was her brother, to knock it off. Angelica swore it was her, and her friend replied, I know you're not Angelica, because Angelica's sitting right here with me. She knew this friend wouldn't joke like that. She didn't have the imagination for it. Whatever it was, her friend really believed that she was right in the room with her, but she wasn't. Her friend always insisted that she was there that night. She said Angelica was showing her cool new homepage. The friendship fell apart after that because her friend got strange. That was the first she'd ever seen the homepage, and she knew it was bad juju. That's what I call Jujutsu Kaisen. I call it juju. I asked her if she's ever heard of the Hole. She went silent for so long. I thought we lost connection. She says she's still there. She just never expected to hear that again. There was this guy who used to harass her back on the site where she was just about 12 or 13 on the IRC. He called himself Holy Moses. He started off nice. He seemed to understand all her problems and to know what she was thinking. At 12, that felt romantic, but she noticed weird things. Like he didn't seem to have any life or personality. But any time of the day, he was always online and active. But no one knew anything about him. One day he started telling her strangest thing is, I didn't even ask. Do you remember the 3 men dressed as bees at the Halloween party? She didn't know what he was talking about. 8 years later at a college Halloween party, she saw 3 men dressed as bees sitting in the corner of the room. They weren't doing anything, just sitting there and staring at the floor. And then they turned to her and their eyes looked so black. She ran out of the party. Another time he told her, you can drink or smoke, you know. You die in a car crash. It scared the life out of her. She briefly wondered if she really was a ghost, she said. When she told him to stop telling her things like that, he said that there was a place she could go that was for special people only, that she'd never need to go anywhere else. It was a place on the internet that was infinite in all directions. She said she remembered him saying that specifically, and everything she needed would be there. It was called The Hole, and she just had to send him a message with the letter M to get there. She actually tried to do it because things weren't going well for her at all, but she sent the letter N by accident because her hands were shaking. Holy Moses went offline and she didn't see him until 2010, when she got an email from the New Commandments at holymoses.com saying, "You coming?" If anyone was impersonating her, she said that it was most likely that person. At the time, she was so naive. Looking back on it now, talking to me, she said it was the creepiest person she'd ever encountered. Just thinking of him creeped her out and made her afraid he'd sense it somehow and come for her. I don't know you, but I told you all this for a reason, she said. What you're digging into, be careful. There are a lot of very bad things hidden on the internet, things that the Twitter and Tumblr generations will never see. And lucky them. I kind of think nowadays that's not true. People, Oh, this? It's BMO from Adventure Time. It's a flash tattoo I got with my friend at a festival. She promised we'd never speak again and bid me good life before hanging up. I was left reeling. What she said met whoever I spoke to for years in my teens. I don't even know who that person is. It was all a lie. And why? What's so interesting about me? I wondered how much else in my life was trickery. Before I could dwell on it too much, Ben called me back. He said he'd managed to track force femming him. He said he'd managed to track the server to a storage room in a sub-basement below his office. A sub-basement is never a good place to be. He was aware of the basement, and it was abandoned years before he even started working there due to ventilation and mold issues. It's just full of old IT crap now and some storage lockers. Someone had set up the server in a storage closet, and the closet itself was completely obscured by old computer equipment, probably for years. He figures that's why it was never found, meaning the servers has been running up under their noses all this time. When he gets in, he sees an old desktop hooked up to a landline. Beside it, he saw a notepad with "Please stop" written on it. That alone made him want to get the hell out of there. The whole place was covered in thick dust, too, and his allergies were acting up. Somehow the server was still running. He has to hook up a monitor and keyboard just to interact with it. One thing he said in passing really disturbed me. He said, "The ironic thing is, the server was built into an auto shutdown date, and that date was the same day I was there to shut it down. Dude, it's like it knew I was..." It sounds like Seuss. "Dude, it's like I knew I was going to be there that day." He said after shutting down, he went and told his manager all about it. Just a fun IT anecdote. His manager told him there's really only one man who could have set them all up. Back in the early 90s, he said, there was a guy at the department they called Milky, because his last name was Milk and he was really white. He was a little eccentric too, and that had nothing to do with milk, it just happened to be true. Then he had a burnout and he got a lot eccentric. It started with him pounding at his desk. The manager at the time had to ask him if he was okay. According to Penn's boss, he answered with, "There's no way out." Then he heard Milky say something like, "You think you exist, but you're just another part of it. Everything is just another puzzle. Do I exist?" After that, the rest of the department started getting nervous around Milky. "You just got the bad vibes around him," the manager said. It got worse. Every day around at 3 p.m., Milky started standing in a dark corner of the office, facing the wall. He'd mutter some things. The guys joked that it was just his prayers, but he'd always come away looking more upset than anything else. Once a new guy asked him if he was Muslim, and he replied with, "I'm sorry." The guy asked him what he was sorry for. "It was telling me how your children die," he answered. Towards the end, before they fired him, he started telling him about how he found a place on the internet that wasn't made by humans. That's so interesting, because now there are places on the internet that aren't made by humans. The guy joked that it was Skynet, but he said it wasn't created by machines either. Okay. It was always there. The internet just found it by accident. It showed him things he couldn't see. Ben's boss even recalled that he started to tear up. Ben's boss told him that it was sad to see such a smart guy clearly losing it. Even though Milky was never caught stealing anything, equipment disappeared during his shift. Probably the equipment that went into the server. When they fired him, he told them that the secret place had gotten to his head and that sometimes he'd wake up in strange places and had no idea how he got there. They never saw him again after he left that day. Ben said after that story and that creepy Gopher server that he straight up refused to look into the hole. I told him it wasn't really that bad and to quit being a wimp. That's when he said he hadn't told me everything. The server had a link up through the phone line to a really old webcam, one of those low-res webcams where the image updates every 4 seconds or so. I've been running nonstop since 90. It'd been running nonstop since 90. I have been running nonstop since 97. All the saved images just show the front of someone's house, the same house back to 97. He sent me some of the photos because he knew what it was. It was my house. Why would this guy have been spying all those years ago, man? How did he even know you? It doesn't make any sense, and it honestly scares the shit out of me. And here's what I told him. The thing about that webcam is I just bought this house 2 years ago. That camera was pointed here before I ever moved in. It was just an astronomically improbable coincidence. At least that's what it should be. But I didn't believe that's what it was any more than he did. Okay, there's a little break in the paragraph, so I'm gonna see. I'm gonna look at the chat. Hello, chat. Guatemala vibes. Was I friends with Jesus? Yes. Do I live alone? I live with roommates. Did you write the Bible? I didn't write it. Thank you for the cosplay compliments. Yeah. I'm Hooney Lee. Did you watch Watamote? Yes, I love Watamote. I've also read the manga. Why the heck did it take me so long to say that? Yeah. No, I read the manga. I love Watamote. It's are you acoustic? Yes, I'm acoustic. Manga, thank you. I'm not like completely cut up because I think it's still like coming out, but I love Watamote. She's a an ageless entity that takes the forms of a 90s assistant. That's fun. Yeah, thanks for the backgrounds on the compliments on my background. This is there's an anime store that's like really close to where I live. Like it's literally like I don't drive, but you can take the bus, and it's I'm not gonna dox myself because but it's literally just like the name of the guy that owns it is the it's cosplay. That's why I'm bandaged up. I'm dressed as Hooney Lee from a webcomic. I can't say the name of the webcomic. So everyone who's asking me if I have a boyfriend, I'm an idol. So you are all my boyfriends. Because idols are available to all. So I will not be dating any of you. Yes, I'm just cosplaying. I like Yuri. Yeah, I love Yuri. I have a Kimono Friends poster in the background here, and the Black Rock Shooter poster in the background here. So you can tell I love Yuri. Go Do I watch any mainstream anime? Yeah, I do. I watch like pretty much everything. So I watched Jujutsu Kaisen. I just finished like the Calling games, like that, the new stuff. I guess I've seen Naruto. Um, what other things? Perfect Blue. Heck yeah. Liking Yuri isn't a creepy question. Thoughts on girls with glasses? I like glasses. I really like Shizuku from Hunter x Hunter. She's really cute. I actually I have a spider named after Shizuku from Hunter x Hunter. Um, my cosplay bandages are kind of falling off. Okay, I'm gonna get to the next part. The next day, I was still reeling from my conversations with Ben and the real Angelica. I ran it over in my head so many times, like maybe the police made a mistake. So, of course, I never spoken to this woman. She was the wrong Angelica, but no, I knew everything about her. Someone systematically deceived me for 2 years, and someone had been recording a house I was going to move into for 20 years, and someone had recorded me when I was a boy. What happened 20 years ago to cause all this? It was so insane. I just started questioning everything. I felt like I was being watched constantly. I started to wonder if my mom remembered anything. She saw me more than anyone at the time, naturally. When I called her up, she said she was expecting me to call. I generally didn't call during the week, so I asked why. She said because of my little prank. I grew concerned immediately. I wasn't pranking anyone. I tried calmly to ask her what prank. She said the two guys. They showed up with a note from me to let them in. They don't say anything or do anything. They've just been sitting there with their chairs pulled together in the kitchen, just looking at the floor. You don't recognize them at all? I asked. She laughed and said no, but I think she was starting to realize I didn't know what was going on. They're dressed in bee costumes, she said, almost as an afterthought. I told her calmly to get out of the house and call the police because I didn't have anything to do with this. She said she was upstairs. She'd have to go past them to get out. I told her to keep me on the phone until she got out. I listened carefully. It seemed to be taking forever. Finally, she said, "They're gone." The front door was left open. I'd be mad. I have a cat. If the men in bee costumes left my front door open and they let my cat out, it would be all on hands on the bees. I told her to call the police right away and check in with me in a bit. While talking, I had absentmindedly walked from my office to my own kitchen. My front door was also left open. Not only was it locked just a moment ago, but it seemed like quite a coincidence. I closed the door and locked it. I almost said I closed the door and locked in. I looked all around the house with the kitchen knife in hand. I have a one-story with a basement, so it was easy enough to cover all hiding places. Unfortunately, there was nobody, so I tried to tell myself I didn't close the door all right, until my neighbor came over and asked me if I was having a costume party. I said no. That's when he told me he saw two guys in bee costumes leaving my house. They just walked straight across the road and right behind the neighbor's house into the woods. How can they even see in the woods at night? He asked. I picked up my mother and we went to the police station. I figured this one would be best in person. All these strange events barely seemed coherent, but I got the feeling it was all connected in some way. The police were baffled. They admitted someone was harassing me, but without more evidence, there was really nothing they could do. When they were making the report, my mom told me she was thinking about something after this had happened, because it struck her as odd. Remember how you had this dial-up modem, and when you'd run it, you swear you hear a little voice inside it talking to you? The way she said it, like it was nothing, sent a shiver through me, because I didn't remember it all. What? Was all I could say. This is what she said. Yes, you said it ago, and then all the beeps and pops, and you said there was a little voice in there with a message. To me, it was a lot of crazy noise, but you made me get real close and listen. You told me it's saying everything's better in there, abracadabra. Can't believe I even remembered that. I told her I couldn't remember that. That sounds crazy, but she just gave me a blank stare. I thought maybe she was concerned, so I started to tell her everything that was happening with the whole Angelica thing so she'd understand. I was saying, you remember that girl I used to chat with online in the 90s, Angelica? She kept giving me a blank stare like she couldn't understand me, so I told her more. How I met her on the web ring and my Fortune City page was on and she didn't remember my homepage at least. She shook her head. What she said next scared me in a way I've never been scared before. She told me that when she got an internet connection after I left for college to email me, but before that, we never even had internet in our home. She must have gotten hit. I said she must have gotten hit on the head because I remember distinctly all these experiences being online, building my webpage. Yifnet, IRC, ICQ. All of that was when I was in high school. She flat denied it, but she remembered, though, that I used to tell her I'd found a way to get into the internet without a connection, that I'd have to call some number with my modem, that I'd have to sit still at the screen for a few minutes, something like that. She always thought I was joking. Before Detective Thoreau came to get us, she looked into my eyes. You should be careful on the internet, you know, she said. A lot of bad things on there. She rose to shake the detective's hand. I was grateful to get off to the subject. The detective offered to have a friend in the computer forensics take a look at some of the sites I'd reported, but she didn't have much hope. But he didn't have much hope. I'm force spamming all these detectives. After I got home, I secured the houses one more time. Then I got to work. The best lead that I had was at this point was this Holy Moses character, so I downloaded MIRC to see if I could find any of his old haunts. It's been a long time since I've used MIRC, and I barely remembered how it worked, and there are so many channels on the EFnet that it would take forever, so I just decided to focus on channels that would have been relevant to Angelica back in the day. I just started asking on channels like Gothic and At Vampires if anyone knew of Holy Moses or heard of him. But each time I mentioned him, the channel fell almost completely silent. I didn't get a yes or a no, I got ignored. Sometimes users even started to leave the channel. I was about to give up and try another avenue when I saw a private message from U472842. He or she told me I couldn't be doing what I was doing. I asked him why. He said it doesn't come off well to them, whatever that means. He also said Holy Moses is just a bot. It's been around there forever. Never logs off. It's almost always idling for days at a time. I told him if that was true, why was everyone so reluctant to talk about it? I didn't want to tell him Angelica's story. I just wanted to find out what he knew. He said the whole thing weirds people out because nobody knew who built Holy Moses. Nobody. Over decades, no one has ever claimed ownership. Not even trolls. No one knows. Not even the trolls. I'm reading a bit quick. Oh, sorry, I can slow down. Nobody knows where it came from, or why it's there. It doesn't do anything. It's just there, he said. That's the creepiest thing about it. Always just there. Legends had built up around Holy Moses, he said, like it was a government supercomputer monitoring IRC, or it was the KGB, or a ghost, a bot left running long after the owner died and his bank account kept paying the bills. But no one knows. It was just there. Users tried messaging it and it never responded. It never interacts in any channel. It offers no services. It has moments of apparent activity where it's no longer idle, but no one's been able to detect what it does during this time, except occasionally a change of channel, seemingly at random. He said that there was only one time when it did anything substantial as far as anyone knew, once in over 2 decades, and that only made things weirder. I was typing out a message to ask this guy what it was because he wasn't saying. But just then I heard what sounded like my front door slam. I paused and listened carefully, trying to not even breathe. I didn't hear anything, so I rushed out to the front door. Nobody was there, nothing disturbed. The doors were all closed and locked. I chalked it up to nerves and went back to my office. When I got back, U472842 had sent me a message. Where'd you go? Hope nothing strange happened. That was a little eerie, but I focused on getting answers, so I ignored it and asked what it was. Holy Moses did. He said, fine, I'll tell you. And this is what he said happened. In 1999, at 5 a.m. CST on November 21st, Holy Moses joined the channel #ornithology and made a series about short statements. First, deceive them. Why did you join the bird thing? That's funny. And at 7 a.m., empty it at 9 a.m., abandon them at 6 p.m., turn back at 9 p.m., and have it your way. BK. Just before midnight, and then it went offline until January 5th. Why? He asked. Why be silent and useless for years? Do that, and then never do anything after. Sometimes when he thought about it, he said, it gave him the serious heebie-jeebies. That was all he knew, or anyone knew. And he reiterated, sorry, that was not part of the story. And he reiterated that I really shouldn't be looking into this and just drop it. I thanked him for his help. So I remembered a little more of what commands MIRC had after getting into the groove some. So I tried Holes and Holy Moses to see who was out there. He was, or it was on one channel only, #stilllife. I've been signed in for 16 days and idle for 3. Its IP was showing the letter Y. I was thinking about going to the channel and messaging him to see what would happen, but I suddenly get a message from U472842. I told you to drop it. I know it's just text, but it freaked me out. I closed out of MIRC immediately and walked away. I figured it was just a nut trying to psych me out, and you know what? It worked. I continued to argue with my mother for the next few days about what she'd said, telling her she confused reality with a Lifetime movie, but she assured me there was no internet in her house while I lived there. She said I had my floppy disks that I'd take home with me, but that was it. We went on arguing for a while before it occurred to me to ask take home from where. She said she didn't know. I'd go out at times and come home with disks. I had a Sterilite tub full of them in my closet. None of them were labeled. Me and my tub full of floppy disks. Yeah. None of them were labeled, so she didn't know how I had any idea what was on each one, but I seemed to know. She remembered how I'd dive into my bin and dig through all the black discs and just pop one in with the one of that, and just and just pop up with one that I wanted. Generally, she didn't intrude on my privacy. She just said she saw me do it for a few times. Saw me do it a few times. I'm losing my momentum. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Of course, I didn't remember any floppy disks. Either my mother was becoming senile or I was losing my mind. Both possibilities were upsetting. My mom's a really good person. She's had a rough time since my dad died a few years ago, but she was super caring. She didn't like to see anyone hurt, and she could see I was truly upset. Not trying to be right, so she gave me a big hug, and she told me I could ask Ricky. Ricky? I hadn't thought of them. Ricky was an old high school buddy of mine. Well, we were friends from grade 2 until we left for college. We just drifted apart after. I had him friended on Facebook and we never talked. You know how it goes. She said when I'd go out to wherever it was I went, I usually had Ricky with me. We'd walk all the way across the bridge into town to pass our weekends. I decided to take our advice. I sent Ricky a message on Facebook. He wrote back really fast. I was surprised because I never see status updates on any activity from him. I asked him if he was free for a phone call. I was scared about having another internet-only conversation, frankly. Facebook said he was typing a reply for about 5 minutes without anything happening. I was wondering what the hell novel he was typing, then my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number. I know I never gave my phone to Ricky, so there's no way I could be him, I thought. Well, I waited, looking at my phone. Ricky started typing up periods over and over and over and over. I answered. The voice on the other side sounded sort of like Ricky, as much as I could remember, but like he was really far away and on a beat-up CB. I don't know why, but it made me feel weird and uneasy. I said, what do you mean you don't know why? He doesn't have your phone number. The creepypasta is called Hidden Web Page. He said the best possible way that he knows. I was about to ask what he knows, and he said alt.rec.birdwatch. Oh, ornithology. And hung up. He got a message on Facebook saying, nice catching up. He wouldn't answer anything after that. I asked folks if Ricky was okay. Apparently he was in a car accident years back and was mostly bedridden. I made a note to try to visit him someday. Anyway, alt.rec.birdwatch is, of course, a Usenet news group. I used to browse news groups all the time as a teen, mostly for the I was surprised they still existed. Now I had to look up how I got to them. You know what? I'm just going to say hentai. Mostly for the hentai. I was surprised they still existed. Now I had to look up how to get to them. I remember being able to do it through my email software, but apparently it's not a feature of Outlook anymore. So I looked up news group letters and found one I'd used back in the day. Then I found some servers and started looking at alt.rec.birdwatch. When I finally found it, it turned out to be a mostly British upskirt photography. It's specific. I didn't understand why Ricky wanted me there until I saw the post with the header, oh, bird watch. Remember the dog? And instantly felt clammy and cold. I don't know why, but there was something to it. Something I couldn't put my finger on. Do you think Toto is a genius? Toto's a genius. Toto's awesome. Toto's the best. This is what the post read. Everyone remember how sometimes you'd go there and it'd be all dusty and no one was there like it was abandoned years ago, but you'd still go and sit at a computer and get online. And remember how sometimes you'd go there and there'd be these people there and they were really weird and they'd just watch you like you were a rat in a maze, and sometimes they were in costumes? Anyone remember the dog? Sometimes there were no people and it was just this dog at the counter. I think it was a golden retriever. It never panted, but it watched, and sometimes it'd make you do things. That was it, and that was enough. I was trembling and I didn't know why. It didn't look like anyone had replied to the message that I had posted 3 years ago. It seemed so out of place. I kind of started to remember. I remembered at least that there was this internet cafe in town. It didn't take long. Like most internet cafes, it popped up around 96 to 97 to take advantage of the internet craze and let people who didn't own computers experience the wonder. When personal computers became more common, they died a quick death. This cafe was popular with teens in 96. It got stale after that. That's when something happened to it. It changed management or something. It changed. We tried going back just to hang out, but most kids didn't want to be there anymore. I had some friends who just wouldn't go or say why, but Ricky and I would still hang out there all the time. Why couldn't I remember that before? Maybe Mom was right all along. Maybe that's where I was on the internet. I replied to the news group message with, why wasn't I able to remember? It was a long shot since the post is so old. Then I started looking through the other posts to see if there were others like it. There were others. They were all vague, but I knew what they were about. I knew. Someone posted, Sometimes when we were hanging out, we thought we were there for just an hour or so. But when we came out, the whole day had passed, and we had talked about we did there. We had completely different stories. Even when we were going together the whole time, it was like an acid trip. We were stupid kids, so we kept going. I used to go. I used to go to the arcade a lot, and it was kind of like that. The Egypt, that's what the place was called. None of these people would say its name, but I remembered it then, suddenly. That strange little internet cafe just behind the post office. I didn't even realize there was a commercial space before. The Egypt. Someone else posted. There was this one time my friend dragged me along and I didn't feel like being there. The owners or staff or whatever wasn't there that day. It was the dog. I don't like to think about it. Remember how it never panted? Somehow that sticks out after all this time. We were just goofing off. Nothing special. When I looked over at my friend's screen, he was watching a live webcam in my bedroom, just staring at it. I'm thinking this is a dumb joke, but it pisses me off. So I told him that this was weird and it's not okay with the webcam in my room, but he just said something's going to happen. Gave me the heebie-jeebies. He wasn't joking, and it didn't even sound like him. Here's the thing that gets me the most. I decided to leave, but needed to piss first. On the way out, I go over to a buddy's, and he's still watching the webcam. That annoys me. But worse, when I look at the screen, someone's in my bedroom ransacking the place. Under the mattress, in the drawers, I'm ready to go home and get one of my dad's golf clubs. But then the guy looks right at the camera and starts taking it down. I saw the dude's face. It was me. No doubt about it. That was my face. But how is this possible? You're thinking that webcam wasn't live, but it was. Someone replied to that post with, when you were in the bathroom, did you try knocking on the wall? Someone knocks back. Someone replied with, I did. He said he'd let me in, but there's no door. The sea of bird-watching photos and upskirts dating back to 95, that was all I could find. It took me all night. I closed it down. It was too much. I was psyching myself out. The next day, I had a reply to my post asking why I couldn't remember. It read, you weren't meant to. See, this really reminds me of, potentially legit megamy. I mean, okay, knowing what I know from the manga, like taking full abuse voluntary Muslim testimony present court, and I can't find it. Ooh, that sounds really awesome. I can't think of anything specifically for you, but I would look into this one creepypasta called like I think it's called like Dog World, and it's a lot of like the medical thing made me think of it. There's also another one called there's another one where like the world gets taken over by weird fast food aliens, and I would highly recommend that one. And the Sea of Birdwatch. Okay, have I read that already? I felt it then. There was something really wrong would happen in that place, the Egypt. So I started doing some research into local records to see if I can find who owned it. They're public records, so it wasn't hard. I'd expect to find some change in management in the 90s. Or where this place got sold in the 2000s. I expected wrong. It was purchased in 1980 and had the same owner ever since. A company or organization called The New Way. It sounded like a cult. The weird thing is, that place was never used before the Egypt, as far as I know. In 1980, there wasn't really an internet, so who would buy a place and do nothing with it for 15 years, just waiting for the internet to happen? It all seemed way too mysterious. Plus, there was nothing about this company anywhere. So that was part one, so I'm not going to go, but I'm going to read part two, but I'm just going to look at chat for a minute. So hello. I would be friends with Goku. I would be friends with Goku. I think Goku seems really nice. I don't know. I think that like I feel like I would say something about having like an Asian dad, and Goku would be like, oh, that's nice. I'm an Asian dad, and yeah, Dog World is a good one. What are other good ones? Oh, there was one that was I don't remember what it was called, but it was about this like a logging group, and they go to a logging site, yeah, because they're a logging group, and that's what they do. And they are like unearthing things from the trees. So at first it's just like carvings of like hands, and then they start like unearthing like a full carving of their boss. It's really neat. Okay, part two. I got back. U47284, you had sent me a message. Where'd you go? Hope nothing strange happened. That was a little eerie, but I was focused on getting answers, so I ignored it and asked what it was Holy Moses did. He said, fine, I'll tell you. Hold on. This is repeating. Hold on. This isn't my fault. Hold on. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wait. No, I didn't finish. What was your fucked up experience? Okay, I'm finding it. I'm finding it. Bear with me here, Gomenda. Sorry. I continue to argue. I continued to argue with my mother about the next few days about what she said about the floppy disks. It was really weird. So it started with like from like a different part of the encounter of the first. Oh, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah, I've seen that. Is that it? Is that I think is that a sci-fi one? What happened to you? What happened to you? Cat Night is a crime. Yeah, I associate that one with Event Horizon and The Abyss. If you guys, The Abyss is really good. It's super long, but I when I was a little kid, I liked that movie, and I had a rat named Bean because there's a rat named Bean in that movie. But it's like a sci-fi like underwater thing, like about like a crew of people who are going to, I think it's in the like the Marianas Trench or something like that, and it turns out there are like aliens underwater. So that I recommend that movie. It's really long, but if you like sci-fi, uh The Abyss is good. All right. Oh, here's Ricky. Gosh dang it, the Egypt. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Ben, drowned. No, hold on. Oh yeah, okay. It's hard to describe how alone I felt at this time. I talked to some people in my life about what was going on, but their help was limited. That's why I decided to do a try back to alt.rec.birdwatch if it was still there. At least there's someone might be having a similar experience, so I made my post. If I asked if anyone else heard of the new way, and then I waited. To my surprise, I got a call from Ben right after. He asked me if I'd done anything recently. I told him to be more specific. You must have done something because something happened. He said, my cat is doing something. This is Lou. He's very kind. The Innocent is a slow burn, but has some creepy parts to the Innocent. Oh, I think I've heard of that. Someday I'll do like a horror like watch party in my uh freaking Discord or something, or like oh, your cat also loves White Sox. I love White Sox cats. Tuxedo cats are so good. Um, I still had no idea what he meant. He sounded strange. His words were just slightly slurred, and there was no accent anywhere in the sentence. Just a string of words, almost like a robot, but not quite. It had that distant quality Ricky's call had. Something's happening right now, he told me. I booted it up again. Ben was just this like Ben was just the most rational, bland guy. Something was definitely wrong for him to be acting like this. I asked him if he was okay. He said that I needed to check my messages. I asked, what messages? He insisted, listen, you have to check your messages. They've been waiting for you. The whole thing didn't feel right at all. I asked him again what messages he meant. All I heard was little whispering sounds like, psst, psst, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. I thought I was losing him. But when I listened carefully and turned up the volume, I heard it. He was saying please over and over and over. I felt the pit in my stomach. I asked if he needed help, if there was anything I could do. He went silent for several seconds. Ben? Still silent. Please, he shouted, and I dropped my phone. I scrambled to put the battery back. Oh, he puts the battery back in his phone. The person whose freak out got ignored. I really want to know what happened to you. I didn't mean to ignore you. It was just because things were happening too fast in the chat. So I really want to know what happened. Yeah. Yeah, please tell me what happened. I would love to know. If I can console you in any type of way, that would be cool. I'll keep an eye on the chat. Oh, reading Umineko. I have Umineko. It's people are like, oh, it's so long. So yeah. Oh yeah, post some of your anime stuff in my Discord later for sure. Anyway, I scrambled to put the battery back in with shaking hands. This is back when you would drop your phone and the battery would come out. And then I called in a wellness check on him. I called in the GILF campus too, just in case. I didn't know what else to do. I never experienced anything like that. I checked my email right after to see if I had anything from him, but I didn't. I had no voicemails. The only other messages I could think of was ICQ, so I powered up the old computer again to check out my ICQ account. The GILF campus, right? I know, right? It's like GUELPH. I checked my email right after to see if I had anything from him, but I didn't. I had no voicemails. The only other messages I could think of was ICQ, so I powered up the old computer again to check on my ICQ account. It's possible there was nothing. I just had to make sure. I took forever to load up, but there was a message waiting. Sorry, I keep checking the chat to see if that one person is telling us about what happened to them that was disturbing. But there was a message waiting. It wasn't from anyone I recognized. The name on the account was Bernie Bush. The message said Heaven, so there was a link to an MB4 video. What do you mean, so there was a link? I clicked it. The download box said it would take 30 hours to complete, so I just let it go. That's crazy. I tried replying to Bernie too, but ICQ alerted me to the account was disabled. I also couldn't find any results on the search for such a person. I don't think Ben would ever make an account like that. But how did Ben know about the message? I got contacted by someone from, I'm sure it's Gelf, not Gilf. Gelf it's Gelf. I'm saying Gelf. Gelf University's campus security later that day. They asked me when I'd spoken to Ben. I just told him that he just called. They said he hadn't been to work in the past few days and that he has not been answering the phone. I was apparently the last one to hear from him. They recommended I file missing portions. Guelph. Okay, thank you for telling me. Guelph. Okay. A missing persons report. I asked if his family shouldn't do that, but the dude just snorted. So I made the report over the phone to the Guelph PD. I was pretty sure I was worried about this guy. I hoped he was okay. I also hoped his disappearing had nothing to do with anything I got him involved in. The next day, I got an email replying to my post-news group, my news, go get a job, emo loser. You get a job. You get a wife and kids. Get out of here. Go be with your family. The next day, I got an email replying to my news group post. I apologized the address. It was the same person who posted about the dog. She said she needed to call her urgently, and provided a 1-800 number followed by what looked like a license plate. license plate number 472BMT. When I called, I got an interactive. Also, by the way, I look like a druggie. I'm cosplaying. Thank you. Thank you everyone who's saying that they like my look. I'm cosplaying Hooni Lee from a webcomic. So these are, I'm not actually injured or anything. So a lot of people in the chat are like, my gender is ambiguous. It's very funny. But I don't really mind anyway. Either no matter what you call me. I don't really care. I think it's funny. So go ahead and call me a femboy if you want. I think that's chilly. Chilly. Silly is what I meant to say. I don't know what I should try to say. Chilly. Yeah, that's not what. When I called, I got an interactive menu system for a tanning supplies company. When I listened to the options, I got the idea that 472BMT might be how to navigate the menu. So I pressed each of the numbers with the account order she said. Within the order she said. I don't know where I got the word account. The system said I was being transferred to an account specialist. I heard someone pick up the line. You're starting to remember, aren't you? A voice said. I think I gasped. She said she couldn't talk long, so I had to just listen. She started to tell me something that might help me. She said she started remembering about a year ago. She remembered the sessions in the Egypt. They preyed on vulnerable misfit kids. Whoever came in got gradually introduced to this website called The Hole. Once they showed it to us, we had to sit there and study it, solve its puzzles. It was like kind of like Cicada, like 3 through that one. She didn't know if but it would change us. That's what they always said. She didn't know if they built it or not, but that's what they were all about. I think we're still in the hole, she said. I tried to ask her what that meant even. What she was talking about. She had already hung up before I got the chance. I tried calling her back, but the menu options didn't work anymore. I was more confused than ever. I felt like I didn't know what was real anymore. That's a terrible place to be, trust me. All I was sure of was I'd come back to something very wrong when I was a teen, and it was coming back. I didn't know why I took a vacation or what I wanted. I just wanted my life back to normal. After that, I suddenly remembered the video file I left downloading on my old computer. I checked and it had completely downloaded. I wasn't sure what I wanted if I wanted to know what it was, but I played it. No plastic. But I played it anyway. I knew what I was looking at as soon as the video started. It was footage of the inside of Egypt. It'd been a long time, but it hit me fast. There was no timestamp. The footage was grainy and the tracking was off, but I knew it. It looked like it was from the corner of the security cam. There we all were, sitting at our computers. Strangely enough, our backs were to the monitors. We were all staring at a wall. I spotted myself in the group. We just sat there, staring ahead. Nobody was moving or saying anything. I couldn't make out what the computers were doing behind us, but we weren't touching them. What were we staring at? What were we doing? Why would we do this? I couldn't remember these events at all. I was the only one that ever looked away from the wall. I kept glancing behind the bar. It was hard to tell, but I think I was afraid of something. I looked frightened. I tried to make out what I was looking at, but the tracking lines were in the way. When they faded a little and I was able to make it out, someone was standing there in the shadows. Whoever it was, at just that moment, turned right to look at the camera. It's like they knew I was watching. I know that's crazy, but it creeped the heck out of me. I shut the video down there, and I won't plan to open it again. After that, I kept researching the new way, because there had to be something to it. I was able to find a record that mentioned the owner's name, Bernard K. Bush, the same on the ICQ message. My cat's doing something again. Enough of the plastic. Oh, your message was filtered by YouTube. Yes, retell it. Love the cosplay. Thank you. Yeah, I like I love Hooni. I've loved that webcomic since high school. And it's pretty easy to do. I got the and my socks are kind of longer than, oh gosh. My socks are longer. But other than that, woo. Okay, I'm waiting for this story. Oh, my Garfield plush slipped off. Oh, somebody got me this off my wish list. And I love him so much. And he sits on my chair. Let's see. After that, I kept researching the new way because there had to be something to it. I was able to find a record that matched the owner's name, Bernard K. Bush, the same name as the ICQ message. I looked for obituaries, white pages, anything that could lead me to him. I didn't think to look for missing persons cases, but I stumbled on one anyway. An old homepage asking to help us find Uncle Bern. I emailed his niece, presumably, from the address listed asking for more information. The page was made in the year 2000, so I didn't expect the email to work, but it did. I got a reply the same day asking me how I knew Uncle Bern. It was filtered again. I don't think my mod's doing that, so I think that's just YouTube. I'm really sorry about that. If there's like a word in there that like yeah, we're not doing that. I don't have any kind of filter for any kind of like words on there. I just have a mod. So if their message isn't coming through, it's YouTube's fault. I believe, because I don't have anything like blocked in the way of specific words. Um, yeah. Filter things. I do like candy corn. There's button options and you can turn off the filter for me. I really don't have anything. Yeah, like there's nothing on my end that I can do. My mod might be able to do something, but um it's like two sliders. Yeah, there's not. I did not get that reference. Yeah, there's nothing that I'm on mobile. Um yeah, I have no idea. I'm stupid. I'm sorry. Okay, my mod said that they changed the setting because I have nothing like going on there. I look kind of melting because of my hair. I think I have a lot of product in it because I sprayed it I sprayed it back, or I sprayed it black, um, to match the cosplay. I have like that like root spray. Forehead reveal. There's a black dot on there from all the spray. um, and it's kind of crunchy. It was an urgency. I had to go outside without a t-shirt. A neighbor who is a grandma saw me, tried to small talk me while biting her lip and sucking her finger. I left fast. It's an homage. Well, oh, so the person, yeah, it did work this time. I saw your grandma story. That reminds me of I knew this guy who he used to work at in like an old folks home, and he was kind of like this pretty MySpace emo boy, and he one time got his butt slapped by the one of the people working at the home, not working, living living at the home. One of the old people living at the home. My mom is looking silly about the grandma. I did just say, I was saying Jilf University. The neighbor's sort of a friend? Oh no! See, that makes it more awkward because if it was a stranger, it's like, okay, this is just kind of an awkward encounter that I had, but if they're kind of a friend and you're gonna have to see them again, that is extra awkward. Hopefully you can just pretend that it never happened. My mod is pushing this Jill thing. you don't have to get with the grandma. Even if we are reading about Jilf University. My cat wants out. I will. You want out? Oh, goodness. He's just gonna be there, I guess. Maybe she has inheritance you can snag. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. I'm getting back to the story. After that, I kept researching the new way because there had to be something to it. I was able to find a record that mentioned the owner's name, Bernard K. Bush, the same name that I read this part with the... I wasn't sure how to answer, but I decided to go with honesty. I told her more or less what was going on, leaving out the parts that would make me sound delusional. This is what I got back. I'm going to put this all in one good message because I don't want to have to talk again. Uncle Bern was a good man. He used to be a rabbi. He raised me after my parents died in an accident. He was good with electronics. He thought computers were the future. What? My mom is stupid. That's why he called his company The New Way. He bought all the commercial space he could afford with just his inheritance, all over the country. It was more than he could handle, so he just rented it out. Life was good. He kept selling computers in his little shop. I helped that when I got home from school and on weekends. He kept bees, and I helped with that too. Bees? Really, life was good until he married Connie in 1994. He met her on a visit to Europe. He said she worked at the same orphanage she'd been raised in, and nobody knew much else about her. She was a strange woman. She didn't like me. She was into things that scared me. I saw her make a homeless man cry by staring at him. Animals would go quiet when she was around. Sometimes she'd hide under my bed for hours, waiting for me to go by the bed at night. When I did, she'd slide out and grab me. I'd scream and scream. She'd walk away like nothing happened. She didn't laugh or say anything. It wasn't a prank or a joke. It was something else. I didn't understand. I still don't. I started sleeping on a beanbag chair in the basement after that. That's weird as hell. Yeah, try to pretend that I wish I was in Japan. My apartment probably wouldn't have this. I think that's something a Japanese landlord wouldn't She'd often go into the corner of the room and whisper to someone. There was nobody there, no phone or nothing. She'd even get mad at whoever it was. Then she'd go back to knitting. She was always knitting something, but she'd knit things that were useless. Gloves with 3 fingers, socks, but she'd steal up the ends so you couldn't wear them. I didn't hate her. I was scared to death of her. I don't know why she made Uncle Bern so happy. I remember the day she started pressuring him to turn his rental spaces into internet cafes. She told him the internet was a real future and would outlast computers. Huh. Internet? Interesting that she thinks that the internet is going to outlast computers. Huh. She'd say, "We are the internet," and then made him get it at home, even though it was really expensive back then. She had him go to this website, and she said it didn't really exist. I remember that because it made me nervous when she talked about it. Uncle Bern asked her who made it. She said she had no idea. Nobody did. She found it already made, just like everyone else. She told him it called to her. It called to everyone like her. At the time, I thought it sounded flaky. Now it gives me the creeps. I think they meant corny. How much is a cheap laptop these days? I don't know. That's a good question. She told him it called to her. It called to everyone like her. At the time, I thought that sounded flaky. Now it gives me the creeps. Uncle Burn changed after that. They spent a lot of time on that website. I don't understand it. There was nothing there. I looked over their shoulders and it was all blank, but they saw all sorts of things. And when the internet cafes started opening, more people were involved. It was strange. They would sit and stare into space. Thank you for the stickers. I actually made a lot of these stickers because I'll just print them out and then uh do like on like a sticker sheet. So this is the character that I'm cosplaying. I got Biscuit Time, Kimono Friends. Yeah. One night when I was alone with Uncle Bird for months, I told him I wish things would be like they used to be. He says that's what everyone wants, but it can't be. He leaned in close and whispers. It talks, tells us things. He told me about how this is strange and I don't understand it, but I'll try. How human beings are set to be obsolete and they need to upgrade for the new era. He said Y2K, if you remember that, wasn't going to affect computers like everyone thought. They'd be fine. It was going to change people. Either you evolved or you wouldn't like what was coming. I didn't dare tell my Uncle Bern that this was crazy. I couldn't hurt his feelings like that, but I knew something bad was going to happen. He and Connie went off to their open in the internet cafes, and I left home for college. Uncle Bern kept in contact until 1999, and then he disappeared. Connie, too. Yeah, you just use uh packing tape to like laminate it, and yeah, it works pretty well. I know some bad things happened around those internet cafes, but it's not like it's Uncle Bern's fault. Please don't blame him. I had plenty more questions and I sent them to her. I never heard back. That's getting to be a real motif in my life, but at least she gave me some answers. It all led right back to the hole. It had to be the same mysterious website. It just had to be. I figured if I ever wanted to know what was going on, I'd have to go to the hole myself. I pulled up the instructions Angelica sent me on how to get there. I can't say I felt like I was doing the right thing. I didn't. I felt ass over tea kettle wrong, like there was something really terrible just off screen in my memories. I knew it was there, but I couldn't see it, so I welcomed the interruption when my phone rang. My neighbor was calling me to tell me the man in the bee costume was back. He said the man was standing in the front yard, and I walked over to the window and peeped out. It was nice and toasty outside, but I felt my whole body breaking into goosebumps. He was there, under the streetlight, looking right at the window with his insectoid eyes. I asked my neighbor how long he'd been there. He said he called me as soon as he saw it and that I should hang up and call the police. I started to do that, but there was no point calling the police. As soon as I hung up, he walked across the roads and into the woods. When hanging up, I received a notification on my phone of an email from Ben. There was no text, just a video file. I played it right away. It started with him speaking to the camera. He looked scared, like he hadn't slept in about 2 days. I went into hiding, he said, his voice shaking. Things just got a little too weird. Little stuff at first. Then one night, like 3 a.m., a group of people I've never seen before knock on my door. I didn't answer. I watched them through the peephole. They didn't move. They didn't knock again. They didn't try to look in the peephole. They just stood there, staring at the door. They didn't look homeless or crazy, just people. Normal, everyday people. I called through the door to see if they had the wrong address. They started laughing. Loud, fake guffaws. Then they silently walked away. Then I start getting calls where all I can hear is a man growling like a dog on the other end, and a few growly words like why and abracadabra. It must have really gotten to me, man, because I started having fits. I don't know what I do during these fits. I know I upset a lady at the grocery store, whatever got me into its bad juju, like KGB, Illuminati bad. He pointed the camera away from himself to a computer monitor. When he was turning, I recognized a notepad on the desk, the same one from his description. He was in that basement storage locker with the Gopher site. I thought he'd shut that thing down. There was an image on the screen updating every few seconds, but this wasn't pointing at my house like before. It was inside. Watch, he whispered. With each frame update, I saw a new shot of the inside of my house. First the kitchen, update, the hallway, update, my office floor, update, the door slightly ajar, update, the door open more, update, entering my room, update, me sitting on the computer. I could hardly breathe. I turned around slowly, expecting to see someone there, but the video wasn't live, of course. When I turned around, the webcam was just a black screen. Because of that, I was able to make out the timestamp. It was tomorrow's date. I'm sure someone just fiddled with the date, but that only made it creepier, if that's even possible. Now I had a video evidence of breaking and entering, except nothing to say who did it or why. I was losing confidence in the police altogether. The last thing Ben said on the phone was that he went ahead and traced the link I gave him to the hole. he was able to get a specific address. I knew the address he gave me very well because it's a duplex apartment I grew up in. That didn't make any sense. Still, I knew if I wanted to know what was happening, that's where I'd have to go. My hometown isn't too far from where I live now. I moved to go to college. It's about an hour, 4 hour drive away. My mom moved to be closer to me after dad died, so I rarely have a reason to go there. I heard from mom that they decided to abandon the duplexes. For whatever reason, they couldn't sell or rent them anymore, so they didn't have the budget to renovate, and the government just letting them rot. When I first heard the news, I didn't care much. I try not to get sentimental, but preparing to see the place again, where I had so many memories, got me. The days of watching He-Man in my fuzzy Star Wars pajamas, the days of watching the X-Files with mom, the days of lying in bed all summer reading UFO books. Of course, I realize it'd just be an empty space now, nothing in common with these memories other than a floor plan. I'm still talking about the old lady. Oh. Do you actually want out now? Come on, buddy. More focused on the Granny Saga than the creepypasta. That's fair. The Granny Saga is kind of stealing the show. Can you get out? Cool. Yeah, no, that's like fair. Like I do think like though that like men get sexualized too. Like it's just like, you know, it's not as like common. But like men like definitely get like harassed. And I think a lot of people don't like take it seriously because you know, people are like, oh, like you're a guy, like whatever, like you should be able to like handle that. But like sweet triage wine. But like yeah, no. One time, my dad he works at a hospital. He used to be an X-ray tech, and so my dad, I'm Asian on my dad's side. My dad's Korean, and he's also like kind of chubby. So he has kind of a womanly body. How do I say it? And he was in nurse's scrubs, and because he was going somewhere for like a conference, like a medical conference, and he was in nurse's scrubs, and he had like dropped. He was outside, like smoking with like some of the people that he was at the conference with, and he had like dropped like his lighter or like something like that, and he bends down to pick up his lighter, and like as he's bending down to pick up his lighter, these guys are driving by, and so he's in a nurse's uniform, and they catcall him because all they see is him from the behind. So he's a middle-aged Asian man, so instead of like a woman, he just turns around and he goes at the catcallers, and it was a middle-aged Asian man. Asperger's syndrome. I'm autistic. I'm good for you. Essentially, my channel is a lot of like mental health, on here. So if you're autistic, you might like what you might want to check out the rest of my channel. I do make content about that. I actually have a video. A female professor. Yeah, that's whack. A professor. I mean, this is kind of traumatic and not really funny, but I did have a vice principal that was like definitely creeping on me. Like he would constantly like I guess like call out my outfits and then be like, you're trying to attract boys. But I wasn't. Because I think he had like I would dress major depressive disorder. Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of mental illnesses that I talk about on my channel. So I'm on the autism spectrum, schizophrenia spectrum. I have PTSD or CPTSD. I got diagnosed with PTSD before CPTSD became like the thing, the not like the like a thing, but like the thing, like, so it was like a little bit lesser known. Major depressive disorder, that ideation. This is actually a cosplay right now, but I do have scars. So I talk a lot about uh mental health on my channel, and I have a couple of she said in Egyptian, ooh, honey, that I ignored her, and she kept walking still, right, which is something we say to 7 people. I was staring at her for mixed signals. Oh, thank you for the hugs. Kroger was terrible. My middle school teacher recognized me. She was 74 and she took the harassment. Whoa! I remember a teacher telling me that if she was 20 years younger, she would hit on me, and that was gross. Happens to them too. Yeah, it happens. It really does, especially like with teachers and stuff. Like, it happens all the time. There was just a case where like a couple of teachers. I think one of them used to be like an actor, like an actress on Baywatch or whatever, who got arrested for like inappropriate relationships with students, and she'd like invite the like football players over to like go swim in her pool and stuff, and it was like a woman who was doing that to like a bunch of like male students. I had a professor bring nudes off of me when I was. What is with professors? Wait, girl, after I get a string, you're telling me that story. What is going on with professors? That's crazy. No one seemed to care much. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't take it that seriously when like men are getting like harassed like that, but like it's still a really big deal. People are just kind of like, because you're a man, you're expected to just like take it. But I think that for if it makes you uncomfortable, then like it makes you uncomfortable, man. Like, yeah, you professors don't care as much because the students are adults. That's definitely like true. Like, I still think it's like an inappropriate imbalance of power. I mean, like, there's obviously like, if you're 30 and your professor is 30, and then you date after the class, like, I don't really care. I mean, like, what? Tristy wants it off in the morning, and my aunt would start hugging you soon. I'm scared of the dark because it's definitely. Also, nice konata icon. Let's see. This feeling. I'm starting again. Those feelings vanished as soon after I arrived. I was able to sneak in through the living room window in the back, just like I used to do when I'd get home from school and realize I forgot my keys. The moment feet hit the linoleum floor, the music started. It was low and distorted at first, so I couldn't make out what it was. Didn't matter. Someone had to be in here, and someone knew I was here. I waited for a sound other than the music. Nothing. I felt a little more courage, so I started walking up towards the stairs. The music got louder, but no less distorted. The tune was familiar, though. I went up the stairs slowly, and that's where my old room was. By the time I got to the top, I knew what I was listening to. Early in the Morning by Vanity Fair, an oldie. It was coming from an old, grimy radio propped up against the bedroom door. That was odd, because the same song started playing again when I reached the end. What radio station plays the same song twice in a row? I switched the radio off. Doing that, I telegraphed my exact location. I broke out into a cold sweat for a moment, waiting for something to happen, but all I heard was a buzzing from in the room, like a beehive. I noticed my name placard was still on the door. Other people had lived there after Mom left, I'm sure of that. Either those people chose to leave my name on the door in their home, or someone had put it back. Either way was weird. I opened it. I didn't and still don't know how to react to what I saw inside. The room had been set up to look exactly like it did when I was a teen, not like it did after I left for college or just before, like it did in 1999. Down to the details. The Halloween lights are on the desktop, Fangoria posters on the wall, my old Mr. T pillow on the bed. Someone had to have known my room in intimate detail to have done this. It was insane. Me, my mom, and Ricky are about the only ones. but there were some details that were off. At first, that was comforting. The more I thought about it, the more it seemed intentional. Like on the Candyman poster, it said it starred Tony Lister instead of Tony Todd. And the wall was painted with the same style of stucco, but the color was a shade or two off. Things like that. They were everywhere. That was more troubling to me than the recreation itself. It's like it was a recreated and bad dream, or it all meant something. I did have a oh, we're talking about therapy stuff. I can talk about that for a while. I need 5 minutes when someone we have for weed. I think I scared Lee for a while. Sorry, Lee. No, you didn't scare me. I it was fine. Yeah, I was just confused about why YouTube was not letting you like filtering your comment. Um, so sorry about that. I had a friend who got caught smoking weed in the bathroom, and then he had to go to a rehab for weed. But like, I don't know if it did anything. um, you guys, my shirt is inside out. Oops. Okay. I found where the buzzing was coming from anyway. It was the computer. It was running. I sat down and activated the screen. Thank you. Yeah, the mental health stuff is like really tricky, especially if you're like on like further spectrums of like more I don't know, like stigmatized stuff, like if you have schizophrenia, and even it's like hard for like people with like autism because you a lot of times it's like, you know, the society just isn't like built for neurodivergent people, and like every single thing is like kind of built it's stacked against people with mental health issues, so there's a lot of stigma surrounding that. It's okay, my shirt's gonna sit out this morning and I couldn't be asked to flip it. I would turn this around if I weren't, you know, live. That's where I found out the buzzing was coming from. At any rate, it was the computer. It was running. I sat down and activated the screen like the rest of the room. The desktop was a faithful snapshot of 1999. Every icon just as I remembered. I couldn't find anything running out of the ordinary. It was like being transported to the past. That's when I noticed the thing out of the order with my desktop, an icon way in the corner almost off to the screen called Milk and Honey. I never had any such file. I'm sure of that. I started moving the mouse up to it. I felt strangely afraid to open it. Before I could, the radio started blasting early in the morning again. My heart almost stopped. Have you seen the empath wizard guy in Yamu's comments? No, I have not seen the empath wizard guy in Yamu's comments. Who is the empath wizard guy? That sounds awesome. Yeah, Yamu is like a really big inspiration to me because the way that she talks about her like experience, and he's crushing out about me right now for some reason. You? I got kicked out of college. That's fucking awful, bro. I had to leave college because of that kind of shit. Like so like I totally like I think he sees me as competition for what? Yamu? Boy, that's the finger goes is good. Wind? This is a clean shirt. I got it from my closet, I promise you, but it's just completely plain white, so it's just it kind of hard to tell, I guess. I don't know, maybe there's a he should use his empath powers to show him account. Yeah, no. It makes sense that people would like get weird in Yamu's comments. Like I'm always like, oh, I never want to like see that because like so much even begin to explain, but it's funny to read though. Um Yeah, no, Yama's a big inspiration for me because the way that like she talks about her mental illness and also her story is really similar to mine. Except I am now who are you cosplaying as? I'm Huni from Huni Lee from a webcomic called Sewer Slide Boy. I mean the actual word. Um, I don't know if YouTube will ban me for saying it, so I'm just not gonna. um, but yeah, no, Yama's a big inspiration for me. Like, we have really similar stories. I'm just like she kind of like started her journey with YouTube like in more of a place where it was like she was kind of actively like going through a lot of like the still finding housing and that kind of thing, whereas I am like kind of I'm past that. But we have really similar stories, especially with like our moms and stuff like that. So I really was like, oh, built like her building a channel kind of inspired me because she obviously she's talked about it on her channel before, but she has a hard time working because of her mental illnesses, and like so do I, and we experience the same like catatonia kind of symptoms and like the negative symptoms. And so like her like last video where she was talking about being a NEET, and she talked about like laying on the bathroom floor while she was at work was like super relatable because when I worked at Target, it was like that. I I was exhausted, and I don't think I could do that. Like I think I would actually like pass out. Um, okay. I looked behind me expecting the worst. Nobody was there. I got up to switch the radio off, but it was still off. I checked the batteries and there were none. That's when I realized the music was coming from the radio. It wasn't coming from the radio. I don't think it ever was. I wanted to get out of there. I've felt fear before, but I don't think I've ever known what it was dread feels like back then. I don't think I've ever known what dread feels like before then. Not really. But I had to find out what milk and honey was. It was loaded in a telnet connection. I hadn't seen one of those in a while. The connection worked because in a few seconds an ASCII mountain filled the window. I waited for I waited for something to happen, but nothing did. Just the mountain. Yeah, I used to regular Russian anywhere. Yeah, yeah, the people can be so draining, and it's like not even just like yeah, I'm still reading. Um, I might save this for later. Or I might just take a little break and no, we're almost done. We're almost done. Yeah, at some point I'm gonna talk more about my like I guess backstory. Um, we are um sorry. I now that we're talking about like uh like comparing me to Yamu and that kind of stuff. She talks about like her backstory. I have a secret. If you guys want to like the reading very committed, I can keep going. I'm just gonna take a pause. So my secret isn't very secret because I'm gonna talk about it on this channel. But so this is the first time that I've been I guess online since I um was involved in a very violent stalking incident. Not as the perpetrator. I was I don't I guess the victim, even though that word is a little um I don't know. Not super into that word. But when I bring up him or Shinji or my 4chan, like he's more than an ex, but my 4chan ex, I am referring to somebody who has been arrested. So Yeah, the stocky. um, so he and he's out. So I get a little nervous, sometimes. But I think he's moved states. Um, and it's really, one of the things about that is it's really hard to, I guess, be in a place that I can't, like, with working, because I can't just leave. I'm constantly like, what if he shows up? And then it's really hard to, I guess, concentrate on my job. Do you have a restraining order? Yeah. He doesn't have a restraining order on me for like or like, I don't have a restraining order on him, like the restraining order, but I have a trespass and a no contact order. So he's broken no contact multiple times. Do I work out? Just a little bit. I do the Miku fit boxing, and I do ring fit. So I don't like go to the gym or anything, but like I like to like, I also do like yoga videos online. So I don't go to the gym or anything, but I like to be healthy, I guess. Um, uh, Took my medication, but I'm still depressed a little. Yeah, that'll happen. I have to go pick up my medication. If you're if the boyfriend question, if you're referring to the bandages right now, I'm cosplaying. But in the past, yes, uh, that was a whole thing that I will be talking about on the channel at some point. Drink more than Marty's and we can walk them to oblivion. Yeah, I really liked swimming. I was used to be a really strong swimmer, and I actually got like certified for like I something. It wasn't lifeguard, but it was some sort of like uh sorry. Um what's cosplaying? Oh, cosplay. I'm dressed up as a character from a web comic. So, my bandages and stuff. I don't have any. You have chiseled back muscles. You won't think that it's that boring. I think a lot of people like working out is like boring for a lot of people, but but for me, I said I like Is there like a Discord for venting about experience with mental? Yeah, I have a Discord you can join. It's in my bio. I can put in a channel for venting. That actually sounds like a great idea. So I can totally do that right after um yeah, being sucked kind of sounds terrifying. Yeah, Discord link, and I can totally add a channel for venting if you guys would like, and that makes sense for my content. So um yeah, so I don't know if you guys have ever seen like the Netflix show Adolescence. I actually had to watch it as therapy homework because everything in that show happened to me. I didn't die, but I was told to watch that show because, like, I don't know. He kind of looked like him too. Uh, I went off for a second, but now I'm back. Um, I think I would look funny if I was buff. I'm not like completely helpless in the way of I guess athletics. I'm a really good swimmer. That's my thing. It's just kind of an inaccessible it's just kind of an inaccessible like firearm train. No, I'm not. Stop lying. I wish I was. My dad is really into firearms. So is my I'm gonna get back to reading. The link brought me to the webcam that Ben found weeks ago on the Gopher server. I was regretting my decision to trust it already. Why couldn't they just leave me alone? The frames kept updating, but nothing was happening until one update I saw the trunk of my car was opening. When the frame updated 4 seconds later, the trunk was fully open and someone was hanging half out. I guess I was memorized because I just kept watching, waiting for the next frame to update. Whoever it was, he was standing at my door. Finish story and hit video, make it fun. Oh yeah, I would totally, because I like I said, I do the Miku fit boxing, and I even anime character. Yeah, I'm from a webcomic. We read awfully fast. I'll slow down a little bit. I'm so sorry. I do read really fast. I not to brag, but but I read at a college level in 4th grade. So I read fast. That was my little flex. I'm sorry. My webcomic is your cosplay form. Sewer slide boy. Even cyberly. I went to my front door and looked at the people. No one was there. I looked at my phone again and checked the webcam. Someone was, or should be, standing right on the front of it. Maybe it was just something that happened in the past. I looked through the people again and it was blocked. It took a moment to realize I was looking right into someone's face, an awful, hate-filled face. I took my phone with me to my office and locked the door. I heard my front doorknob rattling and then open. I knew I'd lock up. Well, whoever it was walked in purposely right to the office, like they already knew where I was going. I didn't have much confidence in the lock. I expected the door to fly open immediately. Instead, I heard a weird, distant voice, just like when I spoke to Ricky. It was like the weather radio turned to the wrong frequency. Why did you leave? It asked. I called 911. I heard the operator pick up, but I couldn't speak. The door opened and this person walked in. His face was hazy, but it was familiar. He had some kind of weapon. He forced me to get on my computer and go to the hole. He walked me through each step. I didn't have a choice. I did it. After all those years, there it was, the same bland page that seemed to do nothing. But I could feel it like fingers poking in my brain. It was like I was still in my office, but that guy was gone. So were other things. I could see things the way that they were, but they weren't really there. It was all the same, but just a little different. I was on the phone with 911, I realized. I tried to tell the operator that the man I saw was gone. Nothing I said was coming out right. I kept telling the operator that I saw a putty tat. And the operator was telling me, that's the captain. He's a jackal and he's not happy with you. You ever heard of freaking? Someone asked. It was disorienting, but I knew right away I wasn't looking at Ben. And I wasn't at my home. There was a guy standing with Ben that I didn't recognize. That I was looking at Ben. There was a guy standing with Ben that I didn't recognize. I asked him if I was in Guelph and how I got there. He assured me that I was in a motel in my hometown. He didn't trust technology-facilitated communication anymore, so he came all the way to talk to me. And he introduced his associate as Milky. He'd found him holed up in a Catholic commune in rural Ontario. Said he was in serious danger. Milky spoke then, his voice slurred. He was aware of it because he apologized for it. He wanted to tell me what happened to him. He said he'd been part of the hacking community for years. Nothing for profit, just good old-fashioned mischief. They especially liked infringe religious groups. They started on IRC when the www, World Wide Web, became a thing. They migrated to a web forum. One day, a hidden link appears on the forum. Other members try to scrub and insist. Yes, you're reading or talking to chat. I'm doing both. One day, a hidden link appears on the forum. Other members try to scrub it and insist that no one touch it. One of the guys on the forum, one of the oldest members who fled the Soviet Union back in the 70s, said that he knew what it was. He was studied before he was never ever supposed to be available to the public. He'd seen what Stalin could do, what murderers could do, and he wasn't scared. That was life. This thing scared him. It sounded like a put-on. Milky said this guy had a healthy sense of humor, but the guy swore it was real. He said it started way back when the first computers were being networked. The electrons and other particles that were brought together were herded about in making these connections. Leave empty spaces of nothing where they were. It's like an antinet. And the more and more we all connect all over the world, the more this emptiness grows. And what's so scary about that? Someone on the forum asked, and he replied, just because it's an empty space doesn't mean there's nothing in it. He wouldn't elaborate on that, no matter how much they tried. He'd only tell them he'd seen it for himself. Loki figured the guy didn't want to make them curious about it. That failed. He was very curious about it, more than ever, so he clicked the link. He remembered being disappointed by it because it was just a blank page, but after clicking it, he started to notice some strange things happening. He lost track of time. He'd be told by the acquaintances that he'd done things that he had no memory of doing, or even that he couldn't have done because he was doing something else. This one time, he heard his dog barking. It was 3 a.m. He got up to go see what was going on. The dog was standing in the entrance to his living room just barking out. To find a mouse cornered in there, but he said he remembers being so startled he tried to, but no sound would come out. 2 men in business suits were sitting on his couch. See ya! He immediately thought of a mob hit, but it's Canada. What mob? He turned on the light. They didn't flinch. They looked like normal businessmen. They were staring at the floor, drinking Capri Sun. He told them to get out of his house or he'd call the police. They just got and left. On the way out, one of them said, "You asked us to come and sit here." He never saw those men again in his life. Another time, he called his brother in Vancouver to wish him a happy birthday. They had a pleasant chat and hung up the phone, went about his business. About an hour later, it hit him like a punch in the gut. His brother died 2 years ago. He always called him on his birthday. It's just so reflexive that when he got an answer, it was like old times. Who the hell was I talking to, man? The story sounded a lot like the ones of the fake/real Angelica told me about when I talked to her weeks ago. So either I was speaking of the real Angelica then, or maybe this wasn't the real Ben and Milky. I guess I couldn't be sure about anything anymore. At least it was less scary to believe they were real. During that time, he said he kept checking the hole. He wanted to figure it out. He thought I was controlling them. He didn't remember the things he saw when he visited, but he said the old Soviet was right. It wasn't empty, and what he saw there, his brain wouldn't let him remember. I just wanted to know why this was all happening. Ben stepped in. He said that there's the only one way he can think of for the site, if it can be called that, to influence a mind that way. It has to be electromagnetic emissions. It must somehow be able to read them off of us and produce them as well. It's a technique that was experimented with as a form of freaking, but never with biological systems. Biohacking. An audio clip-clop? That might be my connection, or it could also be my neighbors are blasting music. It's a coincidence. It is a coincidence. Lee is a part of my name, is my name in real life, but it is, just when I talk. Who? Okay. The fringe of the internet is where it moved. That was a lot to take in, and I'm not sure how much of it I really believe. On top of that, apparently several hours had passed since the man made me click to the hole. I suddenly remembered what the 911 operator said to me. "Who's the captain?" I asked him. Milky was shaving when I asked him. His hand stopped moving. I saw in the mirror tears forming in his eyes. He was visibly shaking. "Captain Meat, from the hole. It looks kind of like a dog." Captain Meat, when he went back to shaving like nothing happened. Later, I thanked Milky and Ben for saving me, for risking so much, really, especially Ben, and for trying to warn me with the link to the webcam. But both of them denied ever sending that text. They asked to see it. They couldn't figure out where it came from. Yeah, we will work that. I'll get a. I'm gonna get a faint thumping sound. Okay, the faint thumping sound is my neighbors blasting music. But for future, the audio for the future, I will probably get a microphone at some point. I have one on my wish list. So. Oh yeah, who wasn't ya? Okay. Cool. Hi. So L from the I'm actually Lee Hooney. But they both wear white t-shirts, and I'm actually wearing my t-shirt inside out. Later, I thanked Ben and Milky for saving me. Okay. It was dark and grainy, but that was definitely someone in there, and I shuddered when we all agreed that whoever that person was, they were looking right at the camera, or us. We turned it off. I woke up in the middle of the night a few nights later. We decided we didn't want to keep paying for the motel, so we were crashing with my mom by then. She was happy for the company, and she was obviously worried about me. She said I had a good grip and not let my life slip away. Just solve this thing, she said. It was weird. It wasn't the sort of thing my mom would say. Anyway, I woke up because I was hearing whispering sounds. You'd think the louder sounds would wake you, but no, the whispers are the worst. I listened carefully. I tried not to move. I wanted to hear what they were coming from. It was just a two-way conversation. I couldn't make out any of the content, though, just a word from here and there. What am I reading? Oh, I'm reading, Hidden Webpage. Yeah, creepypasta. It was a two-way conversation. I couldn't make out any of the content, though, just a word here and there. I got up slowly and looked towards the corner of the room. That's where I saw the sounds were. It took a while for my eyes to adjust. Just when I did, I saw Milky leaning in front of one of the electrical sockets. He'd been whispering something into it, then turned his head and wait, and whispers came back. He saw me looking and said, "Some trick, huh? Guess it was ventriloquism. But why do that alone in the middle of the night? 'Cause he was crazy?" I got out of bed and went to the kitchen for water. I could see someone standing out on the front porch and through the kitchen window. Figuring Ben couldn't sleep either, I went out to ask him if Milky was really okay, because he didn't seem to be. I flicked the outdoor light and stepped out, but it wasn't Ben out there. It was Milky again. He tried to tell me something about the constellations, but I walked back in. Something wasn't making sense. There was no way you could have gotten out that fast. Some trick, huh? I went to the living room. Oh, this the story is kind of like surrealist internet, like what's really real. It's called The Hidden Word Page, and I encourage you to go look it up. It's pretty good. It's my favorite creepypasta. So I went into the living room. The TV was on. It was the episode of Seinfeld where George finds a doll that looks like his mother. That made me uncomfortable, so I changed it to another channel. The program guide said the Ninth Gate would be showing. I always liked that one, but instead of the Ninth Gate, it was the Ten Commandments. Very different movies. Only one number off, though. Seeing Heston's Moses posturing with the Egyptian struck me. I never did get to speak to Holy Moses. I let myself be distracted, chased off, or both, and everything happening would just seem to be getting more and more filled up with coincidences and connections that were adding up, or added up too well. Which is the same thing, if you ask me. I started up Mom's computer. It still ran Windows XP. It was Dad's computer, and she didn't like change. I had to download MIRC. As soon as I did, I connected to EFNet. This was the time that I was going to talk to him. He wasn't hard to find. Just the holes, and there he was, in H1N1. He was the only one in there besides me. Not a lot of bird flu fans, I guess. Back with the birds again. Before I could send him a message, an email notification appeared on screen. I guess Mom had an auto start. The notification caught my eye because it said it was from Detective Thoreau saying, "Information requested." I shouldn't have, but since it was from the detective, I felt it had to concern my situation. I clicked on it and read, "As we discussed, here's the documentation on the dental records with the doctor's signature." The attached document was about the skeletal remains found in Egypt. I felt a sudden wave of horror because I thought I knew it was coming. Dad's bones somehow got in there, but I was wrong. They matched the skeleton up to my dental records. Mine! My cat's... "I don't know who that man is," he went on, "but he is not your son." That was just absurd. I knew my own mother, for Pete's sakes. I thought about deleting the email, but that wouldn't do any good. Then I started piecing things together, wondering if maybe I was really Dad, or maybe I was an imposter, and that's why I had memory lapses. Then I remembered I was just about to message Holy Moses. Why did something always happen when I was about to message him? It had to be a trick. I went back to IRC and sent Holy Moses a message. "Who are you?" Got no response. Come on, buddy. Oh, Nana, the anime. I've read some. I haven't seen that in forever, but yeah, I've heard about it. It is good. It is good. No response. I got a sudden message from U47284U. "Do you know where your mother is?" I ignored him. I sent him another message to Holy Moses. "Do you know what's going on?" No response. U47284U messaged me again. "Are you sure she's okay?" I took a chance on what I remembered from Angelica's story. I sent Holy Moses a short message, the letter M. This immediately triggered a file transmission, which I accepted. It was a video file. It downloaded in about 5 minutes. If Holy Moses was as old as they claimed, this video file would have taken a day or two back then. This video was called freedom.mov. Milky came in from outside, stood a few feet away from me, and stared at me. That was unnerving enough. Then the pantry door started to open. Ben stepped out. He had to have just been sitting cramped up in there all that time. He also stood still and stared at me. My mom came in from outdoors. Why was she outdoors and where? She joined Milky and Ben. "What's going on?" I asked them. They didn't speak. I felt the tension in the air and the assurance that something would happen. The suspense and stillness was getting worse, and anything they could do to me, my heart was beating so fast, and I had been hearing a dripping sound for a minute or two without paying attention. Too much was going on. Now I looked to where the sound was coming from. I saw fat beetles crawling out from Mookie's sleeves over his hands, dropping to the floor. What was going on? I think I was so afraid I couldn't feel it anymore. Slowly, I grabbed a loose USB dongle, attached it to my phone and to the computer. I'm surprised that old computer could read my phone, but it did, and when it started, and while they stared at me, I transferred the video file to my phone. I unplugged the dongle, took my phone, and ran to the bathroom where I locked myself in. I heard feet shuffle up the door and stopped there. I turned on the shower to drown out the sound and started watching the video. The webcam being used was severely damaged by the looks of it, but I could make out a very sickly-looking older man. The audio was distorted, and I had the shower running, so I had to start over and up the volume. The man said he'd been trying to warn me. The dilation distortion from the hole allows him to send messages during brief windows. If I am listening, he said, I am in the hole and I have been for a while. Other things are also in here. While he spoke, I kept hearing other screams in the background of the recording. Some sounded closer than others. He said these things. Was like gonna do Mr. Beast type content. As soon as I get $1 million, and then I'm gonna turn Mr. Beast into a beast, and then I'm gonna let him loose into a coliseum. I was trapped. I couldn't leave through the door. Oh, wait. I heard feet shuffle up the door and stopped there. I turned on the shower to drown out the sound. I'm still listening to this. Okay, if I'm still listening to this, he said, I am in the hole and I have been for a while. Others are also here. While he spoke, I kept hearing screams in the background for the more like Mr. Least in the recording. Some sounded closer than others. He said some things that he said these things don't want me going anywhere, that I need out before it's too late. He knows, he said, because it's me. The last thing he said before the video interrupted, he said was, the birds and the bees. I couldn't leave through the door, so I pulled the blinds to leave through the bathroom window. I almost shrieked when I saw my mother's face pressed up against the window. I was trapped. I thought about pushing through anyway, but I couldn't hit my mother. I could hit Ben or Milky if I had to, but not my mother. So I took the door. Nobody was there. That made me worry if they were really there. I stepped outside and nobody was there. I hurried to my car before Mom could come around from the back. Then I heard rapid footsteps. Ben was running right toward me from down the street. Stop hurting me, he shouted, but he didn't look in pain. Mr. Feast, and all he did was eating food. This is Nikocado. I drove straight back to home, leaving them all behind. The only explanation could be that I'm in the hole or whatever that means, because there was no other way Ben and my mom would act like that. But when did that happen? What does that even mean anyway? Before I even stepped inside my home, I knew something was wrong. Waves of something just bad, pure bad, were hitting me. I opened my front door. Everything looked normal. I started turning on all the lights and I grabbed a knife from the kitchen drawer. Then I saw them, 2 men in bee costumes sitting on the treadmill, looking at the floor, not moving, almost as if they were stuffed or forgot where they were. What do you people want from me? I said. I kept a tight grip on the knife. They stood up. They both looked down at the hallway towards my office. I followed their gaze but saw nothing down there. After a few seconds of wondering what they saw, I heard the song start, early in the morning. While I was looking down the hall, they were already heading out the door. I decided to follow them, because whatever started that music gave me a worse feeling than them. As I stepped out the door, I'm sure I heard a dog growling behind me. I followed them across the road into the woods. I turned my phone flashlight on to be able to follow them. It's like they could see in the dark, the way they navigated the woods. The deeper they went, the more uneasy I became. They just seemed to keep going and going, but the deeper they went, the more I started to hear birds. Or I never even thought of it before, but I hadn't heard any birds for a long time. Weeks at least, or locusts, or normal springtime sounds. The more I followed the bees, the more I heard the birds, until they got louder enough that I figured we must be under a massive collection of nests. I kept following them until it got too loud to hear, and then it sounded like machinery, like elevators. There was a machine, hid out in the middle of nowhere. I followed them inside, and then I was back in my office, sitting at my desk, slumped over my keyboard. The corner of my mouth was wet. I must have blacked out. I picked myself up. It felt like I was just waking up from a deep sleep. The room was bright with sunlight. I could hear birds chirping up a frenzy outside. My screensaver was on. When I shifted the mouse just to see what time it was, there was an email from the globetrotternet.Angelica. It read, pretty intense, huh? You can spend the rest of your life in there. I sat distorted for a while, realizing I had to urinate, eat, and drink. And when I had done those things, I looked in my home for clues. The knife I'd taken was back where I belonged. My old computer was put up in its box. I called my mom to ask if she was okay. She didn't remember any of the events even previous nights. That's when I remembered the video on my phone from Holy Moses. I checked and it was still there. I knew I wasn't dreaming. I put it back. Here would be my evidence. The video was 2 minutes of distorted video and audio. And all the distortions, no recognizable sounds or images. That was a few weeks ago. It's taken me some time to get calibrated to reality. Nothing strange has happened to me since. I can't explain what happened. Maybe I had a psychotic break. I was under a lot of stress at work. Maybe someone was gaslighting the hell out of me. Maybe there really was a secret website that uses electromagnetic waves to mess with your mind. I'm glad it's over. I'm glad I'm going back to work like a regular person, making banana smoothies, not thinking about sinister internet cafes. I really do remember the Egypt in the hole, and it's all reality and twisted. I'll just end up saying I don't think I'll be feeling any nostalgia for the old days of internet for a good long while. The only problem I'm having is whenever I'm trying to sleep, I keep remembering the whole nightmare and asking myself, am I still inside? But then, what difference would it make? I finished. That was it. That was the creepypasta. I just finished the creepypasta, so that was hidden webpage. It was one of my favorites. It reminds me a lot of like the concept of it, like just kind of remind me a lot of Serial Experiments Lane. Wait, I missed it. Can you read it again? So yeah. Pretty much the end of the stream. I'll be anybody got any questions or anything that they wanted to say before I head out. That was kind of the thing, but I would also like to chat if you guys want to chat. Sorry about my cat. Oh my goodness! Yeah, God, you're here for the end. Hello. Yeah, I'll probably be posting I'll probably be posting this later, so you can go catch up if you want. Will you ever read anything you wrote? Yes, I will. I will be. Habana Remy is great. I love that show. Habana Remy and Lane. I haven't seen Technolized yet, but it's good. All those are good. I've heard it's good. Ergo Proxy. But yeah, if more people want me to do like lives like later on in the day instead of like earlier in the day, like maybe kind of like tell me like, you know, your time zone and what kind of time you guys are like available during the day, and thank you. It's either so you guys can tell me what in the Discord if you have like you know, times where you're free, and I can maybe see Game of Flashlight tag. I used to do this in a creepy long. Oh, I have. Yeah, if you guys have different time zones, again, I'm sorry about that, but I'm a NEET, so I can kind of like I guess be a little bit more accommodating to other people. Yeah, having autism can make you or like Asperger's can make you feel really lonely because it can make you feel like nobody understands you. Especially not people like out in the world that are supposed to understand you, like when you're like, you know, out in society. Yeah, anyway, so I know a lot of you are in different time zones, but my Discord link is also in my YouTube bio, and I posted it recently in my posts. So if you want to go join the Discord, you guys can go to my YouTube bio or to my posts, and you can find that there. And you can tell me like what kind of time zones, maybe if there's like a really like if there's something that's really a time zone that everyone kind of agrees on, I can try to stream during that time. Okay, it's 9:30 there. Yeah, I can. Yeah, if you guys Just tell me your time zones in the 3:29. Okay, so that's okay. Okay. So I'm 5,000. Oh, I'm gonna end it here because I'm out of things to talk about. But go ahead and drop by the Discord. See you guys, love you, and if you want to support me, you can go ahead and get something off my Amazon wishlist, but it's totally unnecessary.